And now it is Friday, and either of us has no idea whether it's going to end after this day or not. The other person being...
Well, I'm CPC Gamer.
Yes.
An English person.
Or British.
Ostensibly brought in to help, but I didn't do so well yesterday.
Hmm. Oh, we have a fax once I managed to hit it.
Disquiet is a good word.
And I believe that stands for any European Economic Community or something like that.
That's it, European Economic Community.
And what was this memo on the desk? I guess this is the final day. And we are slightly up on the polls.
That is still a victory.
Yes. I think at this point I agree.
Me too. What is meant to go in the right drawer?
I think it's just...
Because that seemed like it was directly addressing you and I.
that seems to vary between days. I mean, I think on... Was it Tuesday? It was a excerpt from the memoirs of one of the characters, which would have come out after the whole show was done, and a leak meeting. We have no leaks.
Unless it's to do with that red box showing up.
Yes, so let's...
We have a meeting with Sir Humphrey now, Prime Minister. See you there.
Yes, I know, I was just looking at it and... I suppose we should have been checking the suggestions box at earlier days as well.
I think... Do you suppose this gives gameplay hints, or... That would make sense, being a suggestion box.
Yes, might very well be. Art of Course Politics by Alexander Owens. No idea if that is a real thing or not.
Offhand, I'm not sure either.
Let's go. Oh, now we have no fourth option at all.
Prime Minister, this morning's Daily Echo. Have you seen the story about cabinet disagreement or on EEC standardization measures? We should discuss this.
Yes, let us.
Somewhat awkward article, Prime Minister. Mr. Hacker, it concludes, leads an increasingly divided cabinet. On the one hand, the Trade Secretary and his anti-common market supporters. On the other, the strongly pro-European group and the Secretary of State for Employment. Awkward indeed. It seems to me, Prime Minister, that you can do one of three things.
Is third of them expressing support for both sides? Well, that's an interesting proposition.
What would we leak to another journalist?
Perhaps conflicting information.
See, we've fallen into Floor 13 stuff again now.
Maybe? I'm curious. Let's
go
try
with it.
this.
Let's see where it goes. A puzzling proposal, Prime Minister. Prevent leaks by engaging in them.
Now, the point is obfuscation.
Right or wrong, only in their consequences.
Precisely.
That's just a Humphrey line. Yes, I'm afraid we must not be squeamish about these things. The fact of political life must be faced. That being so, what is the significance of the present leak?
I would say this one.
Yeah, I would say too.
Precisely.
Yeah, that's what we just said. There are surely two problems, Prime Minister. First, this issue of EEC standardization. And this could mean that in reality... I think both existing together, isn't it?
I'm tempted with number 2, because, British exports expanding at the expense of Germans, and who cares about them?
I was gonna say we like stout, but okay.
Ah.
Yeah, let's go with 2. Delightful thought, floating down the Rhine on pints of best bitter. Bernard, stop daydreaming. Our troubled century has seen the Boer Wars, World Wars, Star Wars, but I'm sure we can avoid beer wars.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's really quite simple. Agree some formula along the lines of...
Well, number 2 sounds like it might backfire. Number 3 sounds good.
See, I was leaning more towards number 2, personally, but I can see how that might backfire.
Well, I mean, they might, if someone thinks that, British national products are somehow substandards, and then they would need to be, would lower them sales, and they would need to be altered, and stuff like that.
Okay. We'll go with 3 then.
Yes.
You make a good point. Excellent. Entirely meaningless. I mean, meaningful.
Ah.
So let us agree that the problem of standardization is not so difficult after all.
Of course not. This is politics. What do you expect?
Which leads to the second problem. The counter-leak against the original leaker. Should this be done... Again, both are valid options. I think number 1, because the idea is that the government is is meant to be a cohesive unit.
Yeah, that would be in line with what we've said earlier.
Not easy, but certainly that's the general idea. No need to exaggerate difficulties. Simply let sources close to Downing Street hint that...
Oh yes, anonymous sources, such a delight in political propaganda and stuff.
Jobs in an individual's constituency sounds like the more acceptable answer.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, he's certainly the source of the leak. With all this beer about, I'm not surprised. Bernard. But is it such a good idea to hint to the public what isn't true? That standardization threatens the British way of life?
What? But we were just talking about the subjectivity of reality, and now you're talking about what is true. Pfft. Come on.
Yes, because the government can take credit for resisting it. Like, the appearance of doing well.
Yes.
Quite right, Prime Minister. And what's more, you... Well, realistically, it would be number 2. Or at least that's why I picked the constituency option.
Yes. Yes. Why fight against the foe when we can instead bring him to our side?
It's a good tactic if you can do it. Oh, I'm not so sure we would want to do that, Prime Minister. Why do him a favour? Anyway, he'd do himself damage nationally if it appeared that his policies were based on constituency self-interest. In reality, a counter-league weakens his position and strengthens your own.
Oh well.
Well done, Bernard. 2 problems solved. Not a bad start to the day.
Now time to check
we're
the
immediately
numbers.
wanted. Prime Minister, it's time to see how we've all fared this week.
Well, let's check the numbers first, which...
We've gone up.
I'd say that is acceptable. And it's already afternoon. And... extract from the diaries of Sir Humphrey Appleby. The end of another long and bruising political week. Hacker and I resemble, I often think, the Holmes and Moriarty of contemporary politics. Which the villain and which the hero, I refuse to say. Not, of course, that the meeting of minds is on terms of equality. All in all, it had been a fairly poor week, so I put it to him that the dramatic gesture was needed to restore his authority. What do you mean a poor week? And he accordingly proposed that we might call a general election on the question of who governs Britain.
A slightly rash decision, Prime Minister. The voters have an unnerving habit when asked who governs Britain of answering, "Not you, mate." Thank you, Bernard, for that incisive insight into the collective consciousness. Well, perhaps you should call it because of...
So, what do we want to appear to actually be doing something, or to pile things on top of the opposition?
Appear like we are doing something.
Okay.
Let's take a good path for this one.
Oh. I had no idea this was supposed to be the very first week of the term.
Me either. Fresh mandate, but you've only been Prime Minister for a week, Prime Minister. And a week as Prime Minister at that, Prime Minister.
Prime Minister, Prime Minister, Minister Prime.
But Sir Humphrey, you've put your finger on the solution to our problems. I have?
Of course. After all, yeah, let's not choose number 1.
That choice makes itself, I think.
Yes.
Precisely. The brevity of your time in office can actually be used to your advantage.
Yes, a fresh spring, shuffle things, new start. I see. So the appeal to the country is going to be along the lines of...
A new Prime Minister seeks new mandate,
Let's do...
I think.
Yeah.
Quite right, Prime Minister. It's perfectly acceptable practice for a recently appointed Prime Minister to show the country immediately. It shows... that we're a Democrat?
I don't know. That might seem like it look like we are too easily swayed by public opinion.
I suppose.
Yep.
I wonder if it means that we are democratic. Because a Democrat is something else if you go to America.
Yes, and also Jim Hacker is neither Tory or Labour, but he's a third-party candidate, as a side note.
We've no intention of being a caretaker leader then.
I would say so.
Exactly. It allows you to stamp your authority on Cabinet, Commons and country alike, which I'm sure you'll have no trouble in doing.
Of course not, if you've seen the show. That's very clear. An election is in the air. Can you smell it?
Can you feel the storm? In as much as we can apply that to politics.
Oh,
excellent.
I wonder, given the numbers, I kind of suspect that they would think it's been a strong week if it's just above 60%.
Well, it's as I was saying a couple of episodes ago, it fluctuates very slowly.
Yeah. Oh. And now we have a fax. There we go.
Here we go.
Oh dear.
Oh, this probably going to be bad.
Oh dear. I'm not sure what else we really could have done.
Me neither.
Oh,
Oh!
So, seems
That's
like this week is going out with a bang. So, is that it?
I think.
For some reason it went just to 6:30 and not to 7. See, can we...
See, do we have to go to...
Okay, I'm glad we tried these.
Yeah! That's rather out of character. What a funny thought.
Oh, okay, we get some kind of code at the end. I have no idea what that is for. Well, I believe that has been the end of a playthrough of Yes, Prime Minister. Obviously, lots of things could have gone very differently. It seems like a game that is definitely worth several playthroughs.
Yes, Prime Minister.